just to give you a briefing on myself, one of the things that I looked at in the present situation of EPISD, I was on the bond committee, the group of 80 people that actually looked at for 3.5 months on what actually was going to go on with EPISD. So I'm very, very concerned with going through on the bond issue, making sure that that's being handled correctly. Also, children's graduation. I have a daughter and nephew that are right now getting ready to graduate from A&M in Texas, and they're very concerned with the graduation of the students in the El Paso area, EPISD specifically. They've seen students that are from all over the state, from all over the country, from all over the world, and they have a lot of input, and that concerns me. I was born and raised in El Paso, and I really, really care about the community. I came back from Houston. I had many jobs that I could go and stay there, and I came back for my wife and for everybody. Okay? 1 minute is just tough, man. Last time I gave you 2.
My first question is this. We all know about official policy stances versus the nod and wink that superintendents and or trustees give about policy issues that are contentious. You have all been asked about in previous forums about charter schools and transformation zones. Do you support them or not, and why? We need to know where you stand on these issues, but we also want to go a little bit beyond that yes-no question to ask about the EPISD's District of Innovation designation. That designation undermines protections around which people have worked for decades, such as larger student-teacher ratios, non-certified teachers, lower pay, etc. Do you support renewal of this designation? Why or why not? So, two-part question, charter school and the District of Innovation designation. You have 3 minutes.
On the charter schools, as I stated before, I come from a strong business background. Almost 29 years in this city with 5 Fortune 500 companies. A charter school will not come into El Paso unless there's a profit, unless there's some type of a profit ratio. They're not thinking about the kids. They're thinking about how they're going to make money. That's how charter schools work. That's how anybody with a strong business background would see it. The problem right now that I see with the EPISD side of it is we have to be able to start marketing ourselves stronger. We have to get our teachers back on board to say this is a strong ISD. We also have to get our students to say this is a good school system, and it works fairly well. As I mentioned before with my daughter and my nephew. The second part of the question was, as far as charter schools, naturally, I'm against it. I don't think that we need to increase our educational systems out there. We need to concentrate on one and being the best. But there again, I don't think that it's going to be my decision to stop the charter schools from coming into El Paso. And I don't think that EPISD is going to be able to stop them either unless they change the format of the way they're marketing their schooling. The second
District of Innovation designation. Do you support school? Because they have undermined some of the things that have been made for decades.
I remember that question the last time. I wasn't really quite sure on all the details of it. I would say that right now, if I didn't understand it, then I would have to, if I became a board member, then I would basically start digging into the details as to what that actually meant and how it was presented, so that way I can decide whether I was going to fight it or support it. Okay?
Thank you.
Sorry, I guess that wasn't clear. Okay.
Okay, the second question. EPISD faces financial problems due to declining enrollment, charter school inroads, and reckless decisions around salaries. $1,000, $500 a day consultants, superintendents earning the salary nearly equivalent to the U.S. president, etc. School closures face wrath from parents who are treated sometimes like enemies rather than consulted. For example, the Bell Elementary School situation. The state may impose a 2.5% cap on increases with tax ratification elections. How do you propose to deal with EPISD's financial problems? 3 minutes.
Only three? I don't think it's gonna take you three. I already mentioned, I have a very, very strong business background. If a budget is not balanced and it's not performing to what the operation needs, then we have an issue and cuts need to be made. But on the same note, you can't cut your front line, such as the teachers, such as the programs that are going into the teaching the students, and you have to keep focus on that when you develop your budget. And as you do that, then the accessories, I would call it, or the subcontracting that you would be looking at, such as counseling or I'm sorry, such as the different areas that you would be looking at.
Can you hear Mr. Hicks back there?
Yes.
Yeah, am I okay? Okay. Do I get an extra 15 on that one? No, but like I said, when you have to go to the budget and you have to go back to seeing exactly how the costs are derived and how they're developed, then wherever the cuts are necessary, then you have to look very, very hard and make a strong decision on where you need to cut. And I'm not scared to do that at all. But on the same note, administration I hear is very strong. There's a lot that could be cut. On the same note, I would have to look at details once I get into the position. Hopefully if I get in the position. If you let me, okay, then I'll.
Okay, the last question is a tough one. Over more than a decade, EPISD exhibited dishonesty and corruption, stemming in part from lack of trustee oversight and leading to gubernatorial political appointees in charge of the board. This has been a source of shame and embarrassment for our community. In recent months, and even in today's newspaper, allegations have been made about residents' issues outside the district, past work experience evidence, and so on. My next question is about integrity. Among keywords for our elected representatives, we want trustworthy, ethical, and accessible people making decisions on our behalf. What claims and behaviors do you bring to this candidacy that could become sources of embarrassment, shame, and/or pride in the future? Tell us now before the media finds out.
There's nothing in my background, and I can guarantee you 100%. My family, like I said, I was born and raised in El Paso, and my dad was a county tax assessor and city tax assessor. One of the situations I want to talk to you about is when I was a little boy, 5 years old, I walked in the tax office and there was a check for $350,000 that Sears and Roebuck paid to the county or to the city. I walked up and I said, "Hey Dad, look, we're rich." He turned and I said, "Put that back. That is not our money. That's not our money." He goes, "Don't ever take anything that's not yours. Be honest and be trustworthy. If you don't, then nobody ever will believe you." And anybody who's been in business with me, I always tell them, once a liar, always a liar. You have to be strong and you have to be straightforward. Sometimes it's not a happy sight, but that's just the way life is. But I have a very, very strong background of being honest, being trustworthy. Any of the employees that have ever worked for me will always tell you, I'm straight up. I'll tell you how it is. If they need something, I try to do it personally to help them. But if it's one of those where I can't, this is the way it is. Now, as far as anything that I've ever said or done, and no one's ever called me a liar in my face, but it's one of those where if they do, I'll do the best thing. Try to figure out what is right to do, how to make sure that person knows that I'll have a mutual cost. Okay. Can you raise my salary on that one if I get it?
From 0 to 0.
Yes. Thank you.
You actually have 1 minute left to summarize your points.
Summarize my points.
Well, summarize you and what you were.
Yeah, I should say, I'm just gonna continue on with what I started with. One of the biggest things that I see that are big issues here, and it deals with financials, and you hit them right on the money. Dwindling enrollment, 5,000 students are expected to be lost by the year 2020. How are we gonna counter that? How are we gonna keep those students from leaving, and how are we gonna keep them in there? Aging population. I watched my high school, urban high school, with aging population, just dwindle into nothing. Okay? And I come from a school that all district, all city, football, and I loved it. It was great. But the population the aging factor just killed it. Urban sprawl. They're going everywhere. District 6 has got Canateo that's just flourishing over there. Are they gonna move over into the Anthony area to go to those areas? We need to figure out how to keep them in our area. I think right now Franklin's got a good trend and everything's going good, but we can't be lackadaisical. We need to continue to, and then of course, the competition with homeschooling, private schooling, and the charter schools. How are we gonna conquer that, and how are we gonna salvage our district and make sure it's the strongest out there? Whether it's the city, whether it's the state, whether it's the country, or whether it's the world. We need to be the best, always.
Thank you.